The chandeliers shone brightly above the ballroom, their glow reflecting off crystal glasses, golden silverware, and polished marble floors. It was a night where the city's wealthiest gathered once again to celebrate power, privilege, and excess. Soft music floated through the air, violins weaving tunes that carried over champagne-filled laughter and quiet conversations about million-dollar deals. For the men in tuxedos and the women in glittering gowns, this was nothing more than another an evening of prestige and display. But for one young woman moving quietly among the tables, this night would change everything. Her name was Sophia, a 23-year-old waitress. Her uniform was plain, but her eyes carried a spark of dreams that the world had never allowed her to chase. She moved gracefully, balancing trays of glasses with practiced ease, always smiling politely, even as her heart carried burdens far heavier than what she served. Sophia wasn't born into wealth. She had no powerful connections to open doors. For her, what she did have was resilience, the kind built from long nights of hunger, days of rejection, and years of watching her mother push herself to exhaustion just to keep a roof overhead. She had come to the gala for the paycheck, but deep down, she carried something more. Music was her passion, and dance was the language she had always longed to speak to the world. But her stage had only ever been the quiet shadows of her apartment when no one was watching. Over time, she had buried her dream beneath aprons and name tags, convincing herself that chasing it was a privilege only the wealthy could afford. Yet fate had prepared something different for her tonight. Before we go on, if you believe in second chances, in kindness, and in stories that show us the strength hidden in ordinary people, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone close to you, and subscribe to our channel, Kindness Corner. Your support helps us bring stories like this to life and keeps kindness alive in the world. The night went on until the host proudly introduced the guest of honor, Billionaire Adrian Steele. His name was known in every corner of the city, his face often seen on magazine covers, and his empire stretched from technology to real estate. Tall, confident, and striking, he walked into the spotlight with the pride of a man who believed the world bent to him. Applause filled the hall, but Sophia only caught a quick glimpse of him as she set down a tray of champagne at the nearest table. Adrian wasn't just known for his fortune. He was infamous for his sharp tongue and the way he belittled those beneath him. And on this night, his eyes landed on Sophia. Perhaps it was the way she carried herself with more grace than most waitresses. Or perhaps it was the quiet determination in her eyes that he mistook for defiance. Whatever the reason, Adrian smirked and raised his voice for the crowd to hear. "Careful there, waitress. With the way you're moving, people might think you're trying to dance." Polite but cruel laughter rippled across the room. Sophia froze, her cheeks burning, her hands trembling around the tray. She wanted to disappear, to shrink away from the humiliation, but something inside her refused to give in. She forced a small smile and lifted her chin, pretending his words hadn't cut so deep. Sensing her pride, Adrian leaned back with a smug grin. "You know what? Prove me right. Why don't you dance, or is that too much for someone like you?" The crowd chuckled again, their whispers filling the air. For Sophia, it was the cruelest kind of spotlight. The billionaire wasn't asking her to dance, he was mocking her, trying to remind her of her place. She was nothing more than a servant among kings and queens. But destiny had been waiting for this very moment, and deep down, so had she. The orchestra shifted to a livelier tune, almost as if the music itself was daring her to step forward. Sophia's heart raced, her body trembling with fear. Every instinct told her to say no, to walk away, to let the laughter win. But then she remembered her mother's words. "You were born to shine. Life may try to break you, but your spirit was made to rise." With trembling hands, she placed the tray down on a nearby table. The laughter grew louder, but so did the pounding rhythm in her chest. Sophia stepped into the center of the ballroom, light spilling over her as if blessing her choice. For a brief moment, silence filled the room. And then, she moved. Her body flowed with a grace that silenced the crowd instantly. Every step, every turn, every motion told a story no words could capture. She spun beneath the chandeliers, her braids flying as her arms carved beauty into the air. The music seemed to lift her higher, wrapping itself around her every move. Gasps replaced chuckles and whispers faded into stunned silence. Adrian's smirk disappeared, his eyes widening as he struggled to believe what he was seeing. The waitress he had mocked was no longer a servant. She was commanding the stage like a queen. Sophia lost herself in the dance. Every suppressed dream poured out of her like a flood. She wasn't dancing for the crowd or for Adrian. She was dancing for every night she had cried herself to sleep, for every rejection, for every slammed door. This was her truth, her rebellion, her triumph. When the final note rang out, Sophia bowed, her chest heaving, sweat shining on her forehead. For a heartbeat, silence covered the ballroom. Then the hall erupted in thunderous applause. Guests stood to their feet, clapping, cheering, some even with tears in their eyes. The very room that had mocked her now celebrated her. Adrian Steele sat frozen in his chair, his jaw tight, his pride stripped away. For the first time he felt something unfamiliar, humility. He had tried to humiliate her, but instead he was left applauding her strength and talent. That night, Sophia didn't leave the gala as just a waitress. She left as a woman reborn. Guests whispered her name with admiration, and the conductor of the orchestra even approached her, promising to introduce her to people who could give her the stage she deserved. Adrian himself tried to apologize, but Sophia only smiled. A smile that said clearly, "I know my worth now." In the weeks that followed, opportunities opened. Sophia was invited to perform, to train, to show her art to the world. The city no longer saw her as a name tag on a uniform, but as the dancer who turned mockery into triumph. And though her life began to change, she never forgot where she came from. She didn't dance for fame. She danced for the little girl inside, her who once believed dreams were impossible, and for everyone still trapped in doubt. Her story became more than one woman's victory. It became a reminder that no amount of money or power can dim the light of a determined soul. If this story touched your heart, please remember to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support allows us to share more stories of courage, kindness, and second chances. Before we finish, I have a question for you. What is one dream you've held back from chasing, and what's been stopping you? Share it in the comments. You never know who you might inspire. And as Sophia stepped out of the shadows into the light, her story carried a simple truth. The greatest moments of our lives often come when the world tries to silence us and we choose to rise instead.